Yep.
Perfect. Checks that box.
Checks that box.
Makes sense, right?
Yep. You control it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Solves a need, gives, does stuff for the business. Makes sense.
Entries there, buried entries there because you
there.
had to go through the steps of the time associated with getting it ranking rather than just putting up a lead gen.
Exactly. And so I wanted to copy you.
No one's copied it in 11 years. So there you go. It's like no one can figure it out, Is need.
So looking at opportunity, the business has to solve a need, right? Unless it solves a need, you're going to be in trouble. You see so many people go to start a business and they do it because it's what they love, right? Which is fine, but there has to be an intersection between what they love and actually does it solve a need. So unless the business you're doing is solving a need, it's not an opportunity worth doing. There's so many, you see this more, not in this space, obviously, but more in the coaches space.
Yeah.
Where it's more like, do what you love and then all the money will come. Well, unless you're solving a problem and the bigger the problem you solve, the more money you're going to make, not worth doing as an opportunity. The next is T, which is for time, right? You want to look at a business opportunity that can free up your time. There's so many businesses that don't have the ability to free up your time. And for example, my first business I ever started was a freelance copywriting business. I was working as an engineer. I got laid off from that job, realized that I never wanted to go back into engineering. And the business I started was a freelance copywriting business. But what I quickly realized was I violated the commandment of time because I really created another job for me. So I'd sell a sales letter. I started for $250, then $1,000, then $3,000, and towards the end, I was selling them for $12,000 a sales letter. But still, even at $12,000, it's still taking you 40 hours, 50 hours of work to deliver every single time I would sell something. So it was a very hard business to scale unless I wanted to then hire other people, right? So you want to look for a business that gives you that time skill that you could leverage with media, with code, stuff that frees your time up so you're not kind of like glued to the business.
Lead gen property.
Lead gen property is a perfect example.
Perfect example. I've had one for 11, maybe going on 11 years. I haven't logged in 10.5 years to it. So that is something that get floated out there. My time is in capsule now, and no one can take away that work that was put in 10 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
Perfect. Checks that box.
Checks that box.
Makes sense, right?
Yep. You control it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Solves a need, gives, does stuff for the business. Makes sense.
Entries there, buried entries there because you
there.
had to go through the steps of the time associated with getting it ranking rather than just putting up a lead gen.
Exactly. And so I wanted to copy you.
No one's copied it in 11 years. So there you go. It's like no one can figure it out,
There you go.
So time.
Yep. That's it. And then the last one for business to make sense is S, which is for scale. So a lot of businesses you look at, they're a local business. To really scale it is very difficult rather than a business such as like an information marketing business where you're selling a login, you're selling a password where you're duplicating it over and over again. You want businesses that you're able to scale pretty easily.
So
right.
Good example too is like with content, right? So this week, starting on Sunday or Saturday, actually, people started flying in from all over the country. It came out. We had a film crew ready to rip, and we started filming. And we started filming ideas and content and strategies, techniques, what have you. Every one of those films, obviously, once the camera's done and it's edited and everything, that piece of content lives on forever.
Yep.
No matter what, it might not live on YouTube forever or this place, but that content, we own it. No one can take it from us. That 4 days now, we just basically took a time capsule and went whoop, and that can work for us forever now.
Yep.
So it's scalable. It's infinitely scalable.
Yeah, but even lead gens are scalable because
Absolutely.
If you have a business, for you to scale, like let's say it's a local restaurant, that is a hard scale. You need to put in capital,
more real estate,
start another business. Usually, if you look at them, like Chipotle went the road of franchising, more properties, except with this stuff, the scale is hiring more people, creating more content, more team. It's a scalable business. You're not really limited because it's on the internet. If you look at the most scalable businesses today, almost all of them are online businesses that are easy to scale. Like, look how quick it took Facebook to scale.
It's code.
It's
Media.
Code media, yeah.
What's the other three on scale that you talked to me about? There's just like an acronym for that, right?
So the big levers are people, code and media, and
code. So like writing code. So that, just so people understand too, when he says code,
that's a website.
That's a website.
Website is HTML. That code is going to work for you.
Right.
That website that you create, whether it's on Weebly, whether it's on WordPress, whatever you do,
right.
Weebly is basically just making a drag and drop, so it creates the HTML code for you. But what I mean by code is once that code is up and out there, that's something that code's going to work for you 24/7.
Right.
365 days a week. No, 365 days a year.
Yeah, we've been talking for days.
So that's what I mean by code. So the worst form of leverage is people, hiring people. It's in my business, the last thing that I want to do, even though people are still great leverage, I try to do the other forms of leverage before I hire people.
What's the third?
You said capital.
Capital.
So people is, to be a leader, you have to have someone following you. You have to, and then you have to deal with all the, you got to deal with people, right? People have moods, they want more money, all the issues that come with managing people.
Right.
When you're scaling a business, you got to hire the right talent. You got to make sure they're doing the work, all of that, right? But however, that said, people still a great form of leverage to be able to leverage other people's work. I've done it throughout my business career. Dan, you do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the first form of leverage. Second form of leverage is capital. Taking money and using that leverage, leveraging capital.
Buy a lead gen property, right? You might have to pay more because you didn't build it yourself.
Exactly.
But you buy it. Maybe you see someone who has a really good ranking site right now, or a really good ranking piece of media right now, or a really good piece of software that you think is going to go gangbusters, and you can buy it. It's already got cash flow in it, right? You use your cash dollars now to not have to go through that uphill climb of doing it yourself. And use the capital to speed that up. I'm doing that more and more now.
Yeah.
As I've been able to get more capital, I'm deploying capital in a lot of different areas. I'm deploying it. I'm buying already businesses that already exist, right? That might be a software company that already exists, or a platform that already exists, or a multifamily piece of real estate. So I'm using my capital to speed up the grind of doing the work myself, or filming the media myself, or writing the code between myself or someone that works for me, what have you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's important for people to understand that.
Yeah. And you can see how people get rich over the years. If you look at the old wealthy people like Henry Ford, they leverage people in the factory.
Kyle's got it.
And
content, coding, capital, contractors. It's good.
And capital, by the way, the other definition of capital is tools, right? So that's what I mean by capital as well. But if you look at like the Henry Fords, the Rockefellers, their main lever they were using was people.